Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA 21-12671. Offices in Baton Rouge.
WNXX, Jackson, KNXX, Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge.
Hanny time. Hanny time. A daily look at sports from our resident historian. Your sports break during your lunch break. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. Here's Charles Sandegriff.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Charles Sandegriff along with the bleary-eyed Mario Jerez and Taylor Sharp. A chance you boys were up late last night watching any particular game?
Unfortunately, yes.
Any chance that Jeremy Hill has the day off today?
No, I wish.
That's unfortunate. He deserves the day off. He should have the day off today. I don't think that he should be forced to come to work today. I think he should take a day of R&R. Maybe come back on Saturday for game day. You know, the number of things that are going on in the last 24 hours that don't involve LSU, Alabama, which is going to be the main focus of today's show. Gordy's been doing film work. He's coming in about 15 minutes. Chris Stewart from the Alabama Radio Network will be with us at the bottom of the hour. So obviously it's going to be really heavy on LSU and Alabama again today and tomorrow as well. But there's some things I just can't ignore. The Pels lose to the Lakers last night where, man, I could spend, look, if this was another day, I'd spend half an hour on this game. But for the Pels in the last 2.5 minutes, everybody's going to look at Dyson Daniels' 2 missed free throws. If you weren't up late last night like us three fools, the Pels are up 3 with 1.8 seconds to go, and Daniels is going to free throw line for 2 free throws. Make 1, and the game's over. And he missed them both. And the Lakers call timeout, and they go to the other end of the floor. Now, what can you do? You can any number of things, okay? You could foul. That's not a terrible idea. Get them to the free throw line for 2 free throws. Who cares? You're up 3. You could defend the perimeter. That would have been a really good idea. But the Lakers got somebody named Matt Ryan. I would say the Colts backup quarterback now, but apparently somebody's already beat me to that joke. So I'm just going to let that go. Hits this, they inbound the ball completely the width of the floor, and Matt Ryan, whoever that is, actually I looked him up, playing in his 5th career game in the NBA, out of Tennessee, Chattanooga. I mean, he's a household name. Hits this fall-away 3 from Inglewood, okay, and gets the game to overtime, where, of course, the Lakers win. And it stings because, this would have been really fun. Plus, it helps your draft choices and all that stuff. But no, they lose the game in overtime. So I would imagine that anybody who was analyzing this game will go through those sequences, okay? And you should. You know what really, really aggravated me? Twice in the last 90 to 120 seconds of the game, LeBron James got fouled and went to the free throw line. He missed the second free throw both times. And both times, the Lakers got the offensive rebound. There was just some killer possessions there where the Pels had an opportunity to, milk 24 more seconds off the clock, if nothing else. Even if you miss, the Lakers got extra looks both of those times. Well, Mario, you were telling me that we all took turns. Our pre-show meeting today, which is very informal, we all took turns talking about what part of the game we fell asleep on, since it didn't start till 9:40 last night. I fell asleep in the second quarter. I fell asleep. It was a 2-point game. I woke up. It was a 14-point game. The Lakers lead. I'm like, what the hell happened? Mario, you slept through part of the second half, which I stayed awake through. So how the hell did they go through that drought and find themselves down 14?
I mean, not having Herb Jones and Brandon Ingram definitely makes a difference, but just not coming out with the same intensity you've seen in the last couple of games. And it's not like the Lakers did anything well.
Come on, man. They had Matt Ryan out there.
Yeah, it's not like they did anything well. Just killer stretches down the stretch of the game there. Pat Beverly made all the difference in the end. He had 0 points in the game, but the Lakers don't win without him. Pelicans could not put a body on anybody late in the game.
He got one of those offensive rebounds on one of the LeBron misses. Came back and took it away from Naj, and he makes a difference. Beverly's he's an attitude guy. He's an effort guy. He's a defensive guy. He's a talker. He's a vocal leader. He's the kind of guy that you love if he's on your team. You hate him if you're playing against him. And no, he doesn't. He doesn't stuff the box score with stats, but he does all kind of little things that help you win. Taylor, what part of the game did you sleep through? Remind me.
Oh, like early second quarter, I was out.
Okay, so then you missed the same part of the game that I did. And the rim protection needs some work. That's something that the guys that you cover the Pels have talked about a little bit. There were some easy looks down low from a team still can't shoot straight from the outside. LeBron missed all 7 of his 3-pointers, but Westbrook coming off the bench may actually work for them if everybody can keep that harmonious. And, of course, Anthony Davis got to stay in the lineup. Anyway, that game sucked, and so we'll move on from it. Pels get the Warriors tomorrow night. The other story that I wanted to touch on here just real briefly is that another in the basketball teams that went in front of the IARP, that's the difficult cases deal with the NCAA, has been given their punishment. And again, it's pretty much nothing. This time it was Louisville. Remember all the teams that were in this deal? It was Kansas, it was Arizona, it was LSU, it was NC State, it was Oklahoma State. And to this point, Oklahoma State's been the only team that has received a postseason ban. So Louisville got 2 years probation. They got fined $5,000. Wherever will the University of Louisville find $5,000? I mean, are they going to be able to pay meal money this year? Rick Pitino and Chris Mack, the two coaches, major penalties from them. Pretty much nothing. No show cause for either one of those guys. A couple of the assistants got a show cause in this deal. They were all part of this FBI thing that has been a part of our lives for way, way, way too long, that has wasted countless hours of workload for nothing, that has issued penalties that are meaningless. The long and short of this is that Louisville is not banned from the postseason. They don't have to fire anybody else, and neither one of the coaches got a show cause. Bill Self didn't get a show cause. Kansas suspended him for 4 games. Auburn suspended Bruce Pearl last year for 2 games. Pearl's going to sit out. Self is going to sit out 4 games. One of them is the game against Duke, but it's in November. Who cares? I would very much like for us to be able to go on with our lives, and they give LSU. This is frankly now what I'm expecting LSU to get. Something like this. Scratches a $5,000 check. It'll cost you considerably less than the students rushing the field against Ole Miss. Just send down whatever you're going to send down and dissolve this IARP, which might have been a good idea, but in practicality has been a joke, and let everybody go on about their business. LSU's already fired their coach. You got the guy you wanted, so just move on, please. That's a story that another day I might spend considerably more time on. But all you need to know is yet another school has come that was lumped in the group with LSU. They all did something a little bit different, but they were all considered to have broken major rules. There was the most of these violations that they got them on today were level 3, the equivalent of a fish sandwich being paid for. You've seen the 2 schools that didn't want to fire their coaches, Kansas and Auburn, just suspend them. The rest of the schools, Arizona fired theirs. They fired him because he was losing. LSU fired theirs, and Louisville fired 2 of theirs. So, hey, what else? What else are you investigating at this point? So say what you're going to say, penalize them what you're going to penalize them, and go on about your business. I mean, I'm ready to be done with this, and for this show, I am done with this. The last one was, of course, there was a no-hitter in the World Series last night, and I have to mention that because it hasn't happened since the 50s, even though it was a committee no-hitter. That's kind of a big deal. That's something else that we might spend a lot of time on another day, but won't. Except I wanted to mention one bet. Did you see this one? One of the services, I don't know which one, was offering a prop bet last night. This is how prop bets will drive you crazy. They offered a combo prop bet last night on the 76ers and the Phillies. The over-under on Phillies hits plus 76ers three-pointers, okay? Total was 19.5. Phillies hits plus 76ers three-pointers, 19.5. How many three-pointers did the Philadelphia 76ers hit last night? Without looking, you don't even have to look. You already know. The way I'm phrasing the question, you should know.
Got to be 15.
No. The total was 19.5.
Oh, so 18 or 19.
19.
Oh, jeez.
They hit 19. You got this prop bet, right? Three-pointers plus hits. 19.5. Sixers hit 19 three-pointers. Well, there's no way that the Phillies. There's no way the Phillies are going to get no hit. There's been a no-hitter in the World Series since the 50s. Oh, wait. Vegas knows, y'all. Take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Gordy Rush. He's been doing some film work into LSU and Alabama. We'll do that when we come back. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
We're brought to you by Big Mike's in Denham Springs. Final regular season week of the high school football season. Remember, you can always go in after the high school football games. The kitchen is open late and family-friendly at that time of night from the restaurant side, so you can go in and get something to eat after high school football. Tonight, kids karaoke. Tomorrow, honky tonk. And Saturday, LSU's game will have DJ Clarence working. Keep the atmosphere up for LSU and Alabama. On Sunday, NFL, happy hour drink prices, even though the Saints aren't playing, and the Saints game on Monday Night Football against the Baltimore Ravens. Big Mike's, part of the fabric of Denham Springs, just kind of that foothold right there in the middle of the community on Aspen Boulevard at Mike's. Big Mike's, we're kind of a big deal.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
This summer, meet Acura's heroes of performance. Only available at the Acura Summer of Performance.
This summer, visit your local Acura dealer for attractive offers on the MDX.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money.
Jimmy Ott and Charles Henegriff for the Thursday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're downtown at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar on north facing Town Square. Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m., presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Well, you get down the fiddle and you get down the bow. Kick off your shoes and you throw them on the floor. Dance in the kitchen till the morning light. Louisiana Saturday night.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Henegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Chris Stewart from the Alabama Radio Network will be with us at the bottom of the hour, kind of previewing the Crimson Tide. In the meantime, Gordy Rush to talk about what LSU may do against them. Gordy, how are you? Good afternoon.
Doing great, Charlie. Just beautiful skies out here before the 100% chance of rain forecast we have scheduled for Saturday, so I'm enjoying today.
And you get a poncho. Official ponchos. Skip brought the ponchos back. Remember when they outlawed the umbrellas? You know, they had to bring back the ponchos. Poncho sales.
Canterbury $9.50 per poncho.
they're bringing in ponchos by the box load, and just driving in here, the RVs are already out there, so it's had this feel all week, and there's a feeling of confidence. So let me ask you. There was a question yesterday we got in the chat. This was about Mike Denbrock and how he's calling the games and some of the things that they have put in, and the question was, why weren't they doing a lot of this stuff in September? My answer to it was they weren't ready to do a lot of this stuff in September, but I'm sure you can give a much better answer than that about how Denbrock has evolved and what it's done to help Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I don't think that they really knew what they had, and they didn't know how defenses would attack them. If you go back to the Florida State game, Brian Kelly said they hadn't shown much of a bear front, a five-man front with a double eagle front where you bring a lot of pressure and just get after people and play press coverage. I don't think they expected them to come play LSU that way, especially with the talent LSU has at wide receiver. So I think, they were a pistol kind of spread the throat a little bit. They wanted to run the football. What they evolved into is more of the zone read quarterback designed zone read option run, right? With the zone read, and so when you see them on film, and I looked at the Ole Miss film last night, the problem now that defensive coordinators have had, they can't just come play double eagle and play press and get after you, or they haven't been able to, because if you swing and miss on the option, Daniels has obviously the ability to tuck it and run for a lot of room. And if you're playing press man coverage, that means there's two safeties on the hash at 12 or one safety on the hash at 12. And there's a lot of running space between the line of scrimmage and back where the safeties are. And so everyone, including Tennessee, the last, I'd say, really 4 weeks, they've backed up and they've played kind of straight up and tried to find a way to account for Jaden Daniels in the run game. I'll give you a great example. I can't tell you how many times on the zone read that Ole Miss had somebody accounted for Jaden Daniels, but not the running back. And it's that +1 factor of Daniels being in the designed running game and the RPOs and the things that he really does well that has changed in what defenses do. And I think they found some success with doing that and adding the quick, short passing game outside the thirds to these wide receivers and getting the ball to them in space.
Has it been simplified? A lot of times we hear that this once you break it down. I've heard you talk 1,000 times about teams like, well, Mississippi State's probably a bad example this week because Bama blew them out, but they do 5 or 6 things and they do it really, really well. Have they simplified for
I think it is simplified. It's a little bit more, and they get the term we've used with Jayden Daniels I've used has been within a rhythm. And to me, that's going before the ball, the play clock gets to 20 seconds. It's going no huddle. It's getting him to really feel comfortable. If you recall the first couple football games and some of the reason why they start slowly, I mean, he's had happy feet, a little bit of anxiety, and they haven't gotten out to a great start yet. But I think he's more comfortable. They're finding out what he's comfortable with and simplifying enough. It's 1 or 2 reads. He's rarely being asked to go through the progression of number 3 and number 4. And it works. They're able to play quick and get him in a rhythm.
When you watched Alabama against Tennessee, and look, Ricks is going to play in this game, and he didn't really play in that one, and I know he makes a difference, but it has seemed like even against non-Tennessee teams, Tennessee's great this year, that this secondary has not done the job that Nick Saban's secondaries usually do, or am I dreaming this?
No, I'm with you. I mean, there are 2 areas that really jump out when you look at them. It's the secondary and then the offensive line. So let's stay with the secondary. We know how good Alabama is up front. And I think the question in this game, can they handle LSU's running attack without having to add that +1 and account for Jayden Daniels? They're very good, and this, to me, is the best defensive line that LSU's played. Maybe Florida State at this point would be second, or maybe Tennessee. So that leaves the back end, and they've struggled back there. So if they have to bring somebody else up and you get man coverage, will that secondary hold up against the wide receivers? And LSU hasn't run a whole lot of deep routes, but they've gotten the ball out to the playmakers in space, and they've been able to get big third downs and catch the ball and run for yards after contact. And so I think that's the question on that side of the ball. Florida and Ole Miss, I thought, were fair on defense. Florida didn't have the dudes in the secondary, and Ole Miss was smallish when I saw them in person, and they both struggled with what LSU was doing. Alabama's going to have better people. Can they handle what LSU's running in terms of running? In other words, winning the battle straight up without having to supplement the defensive front 7 to stop the run.
Okay, let's flip sides and what LSU is going to do with Bryce Young. And you can't, there's no great way to stop the guy. He's going to put up some numbers. He's a great player, but there have been some things that have given Alabama some problems. Some of it has been with the backup quarterback, granted, but there have been times where they have looked just half a step off. I don't know if it's because they don't have the receivers that they have had in previous years, or it's been Young being in and out of the lineup a little bit in the middle of the season or what, but they do look a little bit less than what they usually do, maybe.
I agree with you, 100% with that. And I mean, look, it's also the product of what's become with college football now, with all this transfer portal action and trying to keep continuity within the program. And one big plus is they have the same offensive coordinator and the same quarterback, and that's obviously to their advantage. But when you look at them on film, they're not top wide receiving core in the country like they usually are, or in competition for that conversation. And the big stat that I circled that kind of was a head scratcher was that they had 29 yards net rushing against Mississippi State. And you're used to this Alabama offensive line just coming out in numbers, and usually they have 2 or 3 guys drafted into the NFL each year, and it may wind up being that, but they haven't been elite on the offensive line. So this offense they've scored a lot of points, but it's because of Young's athletic ability, his ability to improvise, to improvise and make things happen. And then the running backs, it's not the Josh Jacobs or the Derrick Henry, but Gibbs and company, they are explosive, and they can take it to the house at any time. So it's a different-looking makeup of the Alabama that we're used to seeing. And it's not – I I don't think this is it's not near any of the top 10 teams that Saban's had, but they're still very good with what they do because they have some people that are home run hitters.
Yeah, and one of those guys is Gibbs, and when you look at the amount of receptions that he has, that was the one thing that stood out to me. He's their leading receiver as far as number of receptions, and he's right there at the yardage totals with the rest of them as well. So when you talk about Gibbs as a receiver, he presents a lot of problems to you. It hasn't been something that's killed LSU this year, running backs catching the football, but they do some different things with him.
No, they do a lot of different things with him, and he's the one that catches your eye when you see him on TV. And then he takes a draw play or just a zone play, 78 yards or 81, whatever his longest was, and he takes it to the house. And when Brian Kelly talks about Monday on his press conference about eye discipline, getting our cleats in the ground, getting lined up, and communicating, I mean, to me, that's one of the big keys when LSU's on defense, Charlie, because you think about this defense overall. I think they've played very well, and the statistics will prove in terms of scoring defense. It's just that there have been communication breakdowns, there have been busted coverage, there have been missed run fits, especially in secondary contain, working inside out. I mean, you can talk about Florida State. There were a couple of those. There were some runs against Tennessee. Ole Miss had one. And, of course, Richardson, the quarterback from Florida, was able to expose them. And that's what you worry about with Alabama, because they're more dangerous than anyone that's LSU played, and they're skilled people. That, and then, I think LSU's corners and the edge people, the corners have played well this year. I wonder if they're ready for this level. This is a step up in terms of talent, right? And we saw Tennessee receivers get behind them. We saw Mingo go for a big pass. It's the big plays against Alabama that concerns me, and how can LSU minimize those on defense?
LSU had an offsides on the kickoff against Ole Miss, and they missed a field goal, but that'll happen. Other than that, it was a pretty clean special teams game. So all the special teams problems are fixed, right?
They're getting better. Charlie, and I got another one of you know how I hate all those the illustrations you hate. The illustrations I'm coming up with. So I want you to think about it like this one, just for you, Charlie. I told somebody last night I was going to say it. So Brian Kelly getting this team together is like a Rubik's Cube, right? It was all out of sort color-wise. And then he's been getting the front side, like all red. That's the starters, okay? But you got to realize it has a domino effect, and what you do on the front affects the back. And so there's been a trickle-down effect to some of that with special teams, right? Like you normally think that Mason Taylor's your tight end. Well, he should know what to do on PAT. He doesn't execute on those two plays. You get two kicks blocked against Florida State, and eventually you go and fix it, right? So I think there's been a domino effect, and as they fix the front line, the offense and the defense, slowly but surely they've gotten the personnel right. I think it's putting the right people in there, and I think also some of the strategy. For instance, on the punt return and the kickoff returns, for now, LSU they're not elite back there in terms of they don't have a game breaker. So if that's it, fair catch the punt, fair catch the kickoff, take the ball in the 25, don't risk anything, and just take what you get. And if that's the strategy that you need right now, great, fix it in the off season. You and I talked about the kickoff against Florida, how the kickoff were line drive kicks, and it was just going to the 1 yard line. In this day and age, either kick it out of the end zone or kick a sky kick and force them to take it on the 25. Last thing you want to do is hit a line drive missile at somebody standing on the 1 and have that thing returned. Well, lo and behold, Charlie, they listened to Hanny time, and they kicked the ball out of the end zone several times. So, I think he's getting them fixed. The attention to detail is good out there. It's just had a domino effect that goes along with trying to get all the other seats, all the other butts, rather, in the right seats on the bus.
Pack an extra Parker and Godspeed. I'm hoping it. I haven't looked at the forecast this morning. I certainly saw it earlier in the week. Is there a chance that it rains earlier in the day and the rain is gone?
It is earlier. I mean, most of it is earlier from what I've seen, and there's some chance of some scattered thunderstorms. That's what I read this morning. Of course, that changes here in Louisiana, but that's what it said this morning.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we're dealing with a wet track or actual rain coming down during the game. It'll make it's a big difference. Gordy, we'll talk to you on Saturday for the pregame.
Thanks, Charlie.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. Chris Stewart from the Alabama Radio Network is with us. This is Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
So many business owners are having problems with staffing. It has taken up so much more of your time than it should. The interviews, the background checks, all of the payroll expenses. Be great to have somebody to do these things for you so you can get back to work. Tiger Labor and Staffing takes care of all your screening, your training, your payroll, and all of your employment expenses. Be the end of those no-call, no-show interviews when you've got a bunch of them scheduled and half of them don't show up. Tiger Labor and Staffing handles the interview process and the onboarding, which often takes so much more of your time. Whether you need somebody for a day, a week, or longer, you can control your labor expenses. You can increase your flexibility. They do seasonal hiring, so if you need extra employees during the holidays, they can help you out there as well. You lower your employment risk. Temp to hire option is only 60 days. That's the lowest in the industry. If you're looking for work, Tiger Labor and Staffing welcomes skilled and unskilled labor. They'll match you with a job that fits, and they've got quick turnarounds on pay. Tiger Labor and Staffing success begins with the eye of the tiger. Go to tigerlabor.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller.
Week 10 of the prep football season, and we get started Friday night at 6 with Louisiana Prep Preview, presented by the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. And we'll wrap things up with the Week 10 edition of the Lake Urgent Care Total Occupational Medicine Louisiana Prep Scoreboard Show from 10 to midnight on YouTube, Your View, and 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time, your sports break during your lunch break with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You can always get the show on demand, 1045ESPN.com. Joining us now, Chris Stewart from the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Follow him on Twitter at @CStewartSports. Chris, good afternoon. How are you?
Charles, always good to talk to you, bud. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, doing great. Looking forward to this game. All the RVs already piling in to the parking lots this morning, so we know it's a big game when these two get together. I want to ask you, this has been an unusual season for Alabama, so I'm going to kind of ask you to take me through it. There have been some close calls. There have been some big leads that shrunk. There was a great game at Tennessee. What's been different about how Alabama, and Nick Saban in particular, has approached this season?
Yeah, I don't know that his approach has been any different with it, Charles. I just think the difference is they're not as dominant as they've been. You know, I think a lot of teams, as you look at the rankings and how things play out, people, other teams are compared to Alabama, but Alabama is compared to Alabama of the past. And I don't mean it's a distant past, and I don't mean that they're not potentially as good as some of these other teams have been, including one that got to the championship game and won the SEC title last year. But I don't think it's a lockdown team defensively. I think part of that's the nature of the game itself. I think another aspect is it's probably not as much of a home run hitting team in the passing game as they have been. Certainly last year when you had the deep threats in Jamison Williams and John Mechie. So I think there's just a difference in, if they finish the game in their matchup with Tennessee, they're viewed differently. But even with that, even if the record was perfect right now, I think you'd be hard-pressed to say that this is a squad that's as dominant, even though the record is still not bad at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. We talk a lot about maybe they don't have the receivers, maybe they don't have the defensive backs, maybe they don't have everything that they've always had, and it still took the best team Tennessee's had in a quarter century to the gun to win the game. So we're very cognizant of that.
Yeah, Charles, I tell you, I think here's the thing. They're not as good as they've been, but that doesn't mean that they're not potentially as good as everybody else they're going to face, have faced, or will face. Look, I'll be real clear. They could very easily lose Saturday in Baton Rouge. That's a good Tiger team that's playing with some confidence. They've gotten some things fixed, obviously, since the loss to Tennessee themselves. This is a very losable game for Alabama. But I've said for a month that I thought Alabama's best football was going to come in November and December than it was in September and October. And obviously the calendar turns and we're now in November, and we'll see if that starts to be the case.
Some of the things that they have done this year are uncharacteristic of Nick Saban teams. The large number of penalties, the number, the lack of turnovers caused was a surprising number to me. That's at the bottom of the SEC, and you always think of a Saban defense as being aggressive and causing a lot of turnovers. And then I read this morning where they're near the bottom of the country in drop passes, which I didn't know that number until today. Anything you can put your finger on, because these are things that Saban teams normally don't do?
Yeah, I'll start with the drop passes aspect. That's a talented group and it's a deep group. The problem is you don't have the I would say the number of veterans within that locker room. Now, you got some guys that are veterans, but they're new to the roster. And it's part of what I think you get these days with the transfer portal. You may get a more experienced player, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily experienced in the way you want things done. Now, look, catching the football is the same wherever you go. I understand that. But I'm just talking about in terms of confidence and everything that plays into having success at a high level is probably not there yet. They've got some really young guys they like a lot that are going to be, I think, good players for quite a while and play at the next level. But they're just now starting to get into the meat of what is a first year in college. You've also had you know, just to give you an example of the offensive line, and Tyler Seen's been really good, but he's new to the roster. He's been playing at Vanderbilt, and it's different playing at Alabama as opposed to Vandy. Even if he was the best player there, it's a different deal, new teammates, new way of doing things. And I just think those are a couple of examples of why there are adjustments that are having to be made. But as, again, we get deeper into this season, I think that you're going to see those adjustments made at a more consistent level. You're right. The penalties are uncharacteristic. And when it started in Knoxville and you had one on the opening kick, and, you know, you're constantly doing that. 17 penalties was a historic number. I think it's the most ever for Alabama, you know, in a ball game. And you know how fans are. You know, fans are upset when it's their team, whatever. And my comeback was simply, let's say they only truly committed half those. Okay, well, that's still 9, and that's too many. That's way too many. So they've got work to do. I think they have. They showed that last week or 2 weeks ago against Mississippi State. I think the bye week helps tremendously in terms of getting refocused, locked back in, rested somewhat, and more experienced with each other. And everybody deals with it, man. Everybody's dealing with it with this transfer portal. Even the veterans, as I said, are new to your system and your way of doing things. And I think that takes time to get cohesiveness.
You kind of beat me to the punch there with the Mississippi State game, because it was 20 yards in penalties. They didn't turn the ball over, and if they dropped the ball, I don't remember it. I did quit watching in the second half at some point when the game got out of hand. But with that performance plus 2 weeks to get ready for this one, do you think Saban's got most of what ails them fixed?
I do. Now look, you can believe that, and you can see it in practice. You got to carry it to the field, and the environment in Tuscaloosa for Alabama was much different than the environment in Knoxville against Tennessee. That's a really good football team, and Mississippi State's not bad, but they're not Tennessee. So I think that's one of the reasons Alabama looks better. But there's no question they played at a higher level, more disciplined. I think Eli Ricks inserted into the starting lineup, and the job he did, again, albeit against good receivers, but not what Tennessee has, gives you more confidence of what that secondary is going to look like headed to this back half. We hope it's the back half of the season.
How much of the confidence of this team goes back to, listen, we may have penalty problems, turnover problems. We may have problems with drops. We may not have the receivers that we've had. But we got Bryce Young, and that makes up for an awful lot.
There is no doubt. If you're a golfer and you make putts, it can make up for a lot of other bad shots prior to that. You bail you out of a lot of things. Bryce Young is a guy who is an absolute difference maker. There are a lot of his throws that were made on the run, and when protection broke down, unbelievable versatility, mobility, arm strength. He's a special talent that Alabama is very fortunate to have. And as that offensive line and everything that's involved in pass coverage improves, he has certainly bought them a lot of time in that regard, where they're still highly, highly effective. And I think it's, again, should he stay healthy and should the roster as a whole stay healthy, then I'll be very surprised if they're not better, improved, and better than they have been as we go through this last month of the regular season.
Last one, I'm just curious, an opinion from outside of the game, because you've seen Tennessee up close and you've seen plenty of Georgia, though not yet this year. Who do you like in that game? I'm looking forward to watching that one.
Here's the deal. I am too. I think I'm going to go Georgia. 2 reasons. It's there, and they've been in these games more than this group from Tennessee has. And I know rosters change every year, but Georgia has been in more big games lately, and that's not taken away anything from what Tennessee has done recently. But the stakes have gone up dramatically since you guys played them, since Alabama played them. they're in a different deal now. When you're at the top and you're wearing that number one ranking, life changes. And how do they handle that, especially on the road against a team that's been there and every bit as good as they are? And again, I have great respect for who Tennessee is and how good their team is. That being said, Alabama played a far less than perfect ball game and was a kick away from beating them. So I'm certainly respectful of who they are. Have a lot of belief that they are certainly among the best teams in college football this year, but they are far from invincible.
Chris, have a safe trip down here. We always appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to a good ball game on Saturday. Thanks a lot.
Same here, buddy. Thanks.
Chris Stewart from the Crimson Tide Sports Network. We'll take a break, come back, get your questions out of the chat. That is next. Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
So many of the changes in the Acura and Infiniti lines have improved what was already the top brand on the market. Right now, the Integra, the 2023 Integra, coming with a new designing, new color combinations, massaging seats, a turbocharged V6. But this is just the latest in an entire revamp of the Acura line. The new MDX, the Type S, and the Type S Advanced. The new body styles started with the MDX in 2022. The TLX was in 2021. That included the TLX Type S, and now the 2023 Integra. Family-owned and operated. They're going to treat you like family. That's why I go back time and time again to Acura and Infiniti of Baton Rouge. Whether you're going for a new vehicle or off of the certified pre-owned lot, you're going to be pleased with the service you get, transparency and pricing, so it is a hassle-free sale. So many benefits in the pre-owned packages as well. It'll help you out. That's why we go back time and time again to Acura and Infiniti of Baton Rouge.
Professional golfers John Peterson and J.J. Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
Enter now for a chance to win a catch and cook fishing experience from the Louisiana Charter Boat Association with me, Chef Jay Ducote, winner of Beat Bobby Flay. Register now at gocatch.com. That's GEAUX catch.com.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 7.
For a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill. Getting ready for Tigers and Tide and our weekly chat with Luke Johnson on the Black and Gold. Hunt and Hill 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time with Charles Hannegriff on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Question time out of the chat. Ask Hanny, why do you not hate Texas A&M as much as Hunt and Hill? I'll give it to you straight. I never felt like Texas A&M got preferential treatment. My dislike of any particular program has been when I feel like they get preferential treatment. That's why I hated Notre Dame for so many years and no longer do. Notre Dame for years got preferential treatment, okay, when it came to back when bowls mattered, okay, back when television contracts were exclusive, and there wasn't so much money going around, and Notre Dame played by a different set of rules. They still do to a certain extent, but they're not nearly as relevant as they once were, so they don't bother me as much. But back when they could go 6-5 and go to the Fiesta Bowl, yeah, I didn't think that was right, and it aggravated me. I have thought for years that Alabama has gotten preferential treatment out of the conference and still think that is the case. A lot of people think I hate Nick Saban. I don't. I respect him as a coach. As a person, I think he's rude, but whatever. I think Alabama gets preferential treatment in any number of things, most notably scheduling, but that's been the basis. I never felt like Texas A&M got that. Okay, I mean, listen, I'll root for LSU against whoever their biggest rival is that year. That's the one I want them to beat. A lot of years that was Florida. A lot of years that was Auburn. Now it's Alabama. Honestly, I don't know if it's ever been Texas A&M. It was a terrific series in the non-conference years between 86 and 95. It was a game that we look forward to, because it was a good series. It was I think the series finished 6-4. There was some terrific games in that stretch. Hodson's first game, the Kinchin game, Kevin Falk's first game was against Texas A&M. I mean, there was some really, and LSU did well in some of them. A couple of them, they got blown out. The year they had the number one special teams in the country. I think the Sporting News put that out. A&M ran the opening kickoff back, and that was the end of that. But I never felt like A&M got preferential treatment. So that's why. Most of my dislike comes for people that I think are not playing by the same set of rules as everybody else. Ask Hanny, I like Duke to cover on Friday night. What are your thoughts? I don't hate it. They're playing Boston College, who's terrible. I would warn you off that spread is going to 10 now, and Duke has played two teams on the road that are as bad or worse than Boston College in Northwestern and Georgia Tech, and didn't cover in either one of those games. Now, the Northwestern game, you got to go back to September, but they haven't been nearly as good on the road. Spreads double figures. It's a stay away game for me. But if I had to play it, I would play Duke. Ask Hanny, does LSU need a big special teams play or possible late game kick to win this game? No, they don't. They also don't need a trick play or to play in a manner outside of their normal game plan. They don't need to fake a kick. LSU, if they go out and they play a good game, they also don't need, and I hope, I've been trying to set this backfire since Monday, they don't need Jaden Daniels to throw for 400 yards and run for 150 to win this game. I did a whole segment on this Tuesday, I think it was, that there have been some just ordinary performances at quarterback that have kept teams in games with Alabama. They've got to be good. He can't go out there and turn the ball over 3 times. They can't commit, 12 penalties for 110 yards and lose. They can't, get a punt blocked, for a touchdown, or have a kickoff return for a touchdown and expect to win. You might be able to overcome that. There is not a drastic difference in the talent levels of these teams. Alabama has an edge. No mistake, okay? But do they have a drastic edge? I don't see it. Kuiper put out his draft rankings again today. He updated his big board. He updated his top 10 at every position. There are some Alabama guys there. There are not as many. Not as many as you would normally think. And even in games where Alabama has had a talent advantage in Tiger Stadium, LSU has hung around, okay? The 2018 game was the one that LSU got really blown out of outside of the COVID year. I ain't counting that. That year, Joe Burrow didn't practice the whole week. We didn't find that out until 2 years later, but LSU had some backup quarterback, some walk-on quarterback from Tennessee taking reps with the ones all week because Burrow and Brennan weren't there. Every other year, the game in Tiger Stadium for the last 10 years has been pretty doggone competitive. So I don't know if LSU is going to win or not. I certainly, think that they're going to keep this thing competitive. And no, they don't need a miracle to win this game. They need to go out and play well, play their game, and they've got every opportunity. Hunt and Hill are next. For Mario and Taylor, I'm Charles Hanniger saying thank you and good afternoon. This has been Hanny Time, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hanny Time.
You're going to be tailgating for the weekend? Make it with Supreme Rice. Your jambalayas, your red beans, your stews, your etouffees. You want to get a little gumbo going? Do it with Supreme Rice. Listen, stop by Rouse's on the way. You can get all of your Supreme Rice at Rouse's. We're just a couple of miles away from campus. Stop in, watch us for the pregame show for a little bit. Grab you some Supreme Rice. Support our Louisiana farmers down in Crowley, Louisiana since the 1930s. All of our Supreme Rice grown, milled, and processed down in southwest Louisiana. Easy to get at all of your Rouse's and plus all your AG food stores, your Walmarts, and your Costco's, plus your Matherns. More information and great recipes, go to the website at supremerice.com.